will start the session and I'll talk a little bit about my life as an entrepreneur, and I will focus on all the stupid mistakes that I made. Because sometimes when you see a successful entrepreneur, it looks from the outside like it was very easy and a very clear path to success. But as a matter of fact, all successful entrepreneurs went through a lot of deep shit. And I want to tell you my story and all the learnings along them. I was lucky enough when I was around 18 years old that in my hometown, Bonn, the first video conferencing system was developed. It was long before the internet. We did a peer-to-peer ISDN connection. And so I started to become a hacker and develop C++ modules, video codecs, and so on. And then the internet came along, and I really wanted to create a company that does e-commerce, because e-commerce was the next big thing. And the only company I could sell my software to was a D&W, an auto-tuning company with a lot of naked girls on the website. So not a prestigious start as a founder, but at least I get a small budget and can start creating code. And because there was no AWS, so no real cloud computing, I also had to create a hoster. And I wasted all the capital that I had in hardware that I never actually used, because it was very hard to know how much hardware I need. So I bought a lot and then wasted a lot of money. And then around 98, everybody or some people talked about venture capital, the great new thing, venture capital. And I also wanted to have this, and I created a product called LIC, LAN Internet Connect. It basically connected local area networks with the internet. And everything seems great. We had 1.4 million in venture capital, but we did not sell the product. But at this time, it was cool to not sell the product. Just build a company, we will do an IPO, everything will be fine. And that was a bad mistake. Because I also signed very close, before the company went bankrupt, for 1 million euros in personal debt. Just because otherwise they would have closed down the company, and I wanted to keep going. And I was stupid enough, without thinking, to sign 1 million in personal debt, and I was really screwed. So never do this, never go below zero. Because I've never had a real job, I was only a founder, I stopped my studies, the only thing I could do is start again companies. And the next company was called IP Labs, and the digital photography was just picking up a little bit. And what we did is we created a platform where retailers and the ISPs could offer an online photo service, where people could store and share their photos, but also create photo books, calendars, and greeting cards to order. And we managed to create this company to the worldwide leading company in the space, with over 300 million consumers in over 40 countries. It's a small niche, but we dominated this niche. And then we sold the company to Fujifilm Tokyo. And with all the learnings that we had, and now the first time we also had a success and some money, Mark and I started to invest into companies. And what we learned there is that not only the money is important, but really the coaching. To give other people all the pain that you had, all the bad mistakes, and help them as a young founder on the way. And the first thing that we did was Kaufda. It basically digitized all the advertisements that were coming as paper into your inbox and offered them on the web and later on the smartphone. And what we learned here is how fast the market can change. Because when we launched Kaufda, it was a website. And we soon saw that the web is going to be dead, and we had to shift the company to mobile. And today, over 50% is on a mobile platform. The next investment and coaching that we did was MyTaxi. It's a very disruptive business model where you can call a cab with a smartphone. The driver has also a smartphone, and it's very, very stupid that you today still call somebody who does not understand you and say, I want to have a taxi to the street, blah, blah, and you put down the phone and nobody knows, will the taxi come? Which taxi will come? And it makes absolutely sense to have this as a peer-to-peer smart connection with a map, a driver, where you can connect. But funny enough, even if we invested in a company and the company was showing a little bit of pickup, two big venture capitalists in Europe said, this will never work. It cannot work. And that's why so many things are driven by Excel sheets, but not by passion and really want to do it. And Nick, the founder, just keep on going and going. And today there are the dominant worldwide player in this market with over 20,000 caps and have big players. So the lesson is here, if you have your idea, you believe in it, just keep going, no matter what other people say to you. The next company was Sechs Wunderkinder, and I'm a big fan of GTD, getting things done, from David Allen. Everybody should have a look. Basically, it's a structure how you organize your tasks in your life and get things done. But there was an application missing that did it right, with cloud sync as native apps and so on. And at the beginning, it was also very hard to find money for this because there were already so many to-do lists, but they were simply bad. They did suck from the interface there. And the pitch that we had is, we will do it right, we will do it nicely. But that's not easy to get money from. But we kept on going, and today, Sechs Wunderkinder is growing very fast, over 3 million consumers. And for example, Niklas Zenström with Atomico Fund did invest in that company. The last company I want to talk about today is Do. We had this problem with our personal documents. So there were so many analog invoices on my desk, contracts and so on. And I really found it is ridiculous that we are living in a high-tech era, but still every day the postman is delivering letters and all the information gets lost. And on the other side, even if you look at the digital part, we're still using the Finder or the Explorer to manage our documents. So there's no real smart solution. We're basically stuck in the 80s or stuck in whenever paper was invented. And so we're going to change this with Do, and we were lucky enough to raise a lot of money, and then we started, and everything looks great. We launched at the NASDAQ, very prestige, everything fine. But again, we have a lot of challenges, and the traction is not there where we wanted. There were so many challenges in building software, getting the UI right, making the sync stable. So it shows me again, building a great company is not easy. You really have to just keep on going, believe in your idea, no matter what others say, just keep on going and make it happen. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Marc.
Thanks. Well, that was the fun part. Before I start with the learnings, let me ask, first of all, by show of hands, I didn't see it when this was announced. Who of you is a founder? And who has already raised capital? Right, and this should be hopefully somewhat relevant to you. I would like to use my airtime to speak about understanding your business or making sure you do the right thing. One of the learnings I've made so far in my professional career is that there's really an incredible lot of really smart people out there and hardworking people. But as a matter of fact, there's only a handful of people who really achieve exceptional results and build exceptionally great companies. And I believe the difference is not efficiency, but it's effectiveness. So while it's super important to do things right, I believe doing the right thing is key. And the same applies to startups. What I mean is, it's one of the most important yet most difficult tasks of a founder to develop a scalable and sustainable business model and to keep evolving this business model over time. In a time where the cost of founding, pivoting, or copying a startup is ever declining, being able to find the product market fit as quick as possible, or in other terms, to understand your business model and to do the right thing is key, is a crucial success factor. And of course, executing once you found it. So how do we do this? Let's first have a quick look at business planning. It's a very controversial topic. Already today I heard very extreme opinions on it. Many people say it's a complete waste of time. Get operational because it's not worth the paper you write it on. Other people write complete books, so they spend weeks creating a business plan. In my view, it's somewhat in the middle. I think business planning is a very important activity, but it should be used to understand your business model. And the result of it, so the business plan as a product, is nothing else than a structured summary of your thoughts that you put into this. You should not use it for other purposes, like impressing the investors with the fact that you attended class in business school. Also, you have to be aware, once you get started executing, basically your business plan is out of date. So you should not over-engineer, but you should really use it to get to know your business. What is this business model? The Wikipedia definition, which I really like, is it's the rationale of any organization, how it creates, delivers, and captures value. If you found an innovative startup, very often it's not clear how you create, deliver, and capture that value. And it's okay to admit that. The important thing is that you actively work on this. So business planning and business modeling is a continuous process. Steve Blank, in this context, coined the term customer development. There has been great talks today about finding product market fit. There are great tools and great advice. The important thing is that you actively do it and take it seriously. And also that you're open for the feedback that you get. It's easy to do all these processes, and then when you get negative feedback, you ignore it. You don't want to do this. You want to act rather today than tomorrow. Because, of course, the later you act, the higher the risk of failure. By all means, I'm not saying pivot twice a week. Very often what is required is really holding on to your vision and tenacity, even if you have initially a failure. But still, you want to actively and consciously make that decision. Generic tools. Well, it's such a great way to signal competence in applying complex analyses and stuff. Frankly, tools are not giving you any answers. Tools, if applied in the right way, can help you ask the right questions, and they will increase the quality of your thinking process and the quality of your communication if applied economically in the right way. For me personally, while there's a whole lot of tools for specific questions, 3 of them I quite frequently use in the seed and startup phase. These are Business Model Canvas. Really looking forward to the session tomorrow of Alexander Osterwalder to learn more about your business model, financial planning, and the pitch presentation. Financial planning is another one of those controversial tools. Many people say complete waste of time. All these assumptions, the figures are not going to come true anyway, so why are you wasting time on it? I think it's one of the most underrated tools to think in a structured way about all aspects of your business. Coming up with a P&L requires that you think about your revenue model. So how many customers are you going to have? How are you going to charge them? Subscription-based model, freemium pricing, how do you capture the value is the essential question, and that's a big determinant of the value of your company. What's your customer acquisition cost, customer lifetime value, how many people you need on the team? Without asking these questions, how can you know how much money you want to raise? How can you discuss with an investor about your potential revenue development and how much your company could be worth? So I think it's really a great tool. It's of course not about a 10-year planning and an unmisplaced security that these figures will be the figures that you see in a couple of years, but it's a good way to think about it. And the pitch presentation, of course, is a very good way to become clear about your own thoughts. Because if you want to explain something to your investors, you first have to understand yourself why you're doing what you do, what exactly it is that you're doing, and how you want to make it a success. Investor communication, once you went through this process and really understood what you're doing, well, there you go. You can also use these tools to communicate in a structured way to external stakeholders like investors, and it will increase your quality, the quality of your communication. But don't, again, use this to convey a misplaced sense of security that these figures are true. You don't want to go mentalist and predict sales figures for 10 years in advance. It doesn't make you any more credible.
Mark.
Also, yeah.
I just learned we have a very, very sharp timeline. So sorry to interrupt you.
Is this the time that we have?
Not negotiable. I try to negotiate, but it's not possible. So open for Q&As, because that's always very important. So ask any question that you want. We will give hopefully good, valuable answers.
Since we only have so little time with you guys, how to approach the later on, because this is by far the most interesting part.
Well, then let me use this to just point to one thing. If you want to take away something from my presentation, it's understand your business, do the right thing, and do due diligence on your investors. Because if somebody invests in you, it's probably not just one person. That's just one message.
Yeah, all the stuff that was implemented, I already did that, but I want to see more of it. How it's interesting.
Yeah, so we will, sorry, that's really tough. We can nothing negotiate here. So we will publish that. And we are here today and tomorrow, so we're open, just get in contact and we'll help you. Another question?
Here. Can you turn here?
It says on the slide, sustainable versus VC, and it's not focused on funding. The thing is, like, main strategic thing that startups should consider, or is it more like one of three strategic things and then there's something else that's more important to consider?
You mean raising money?
I think it's about the middle point, the question business angel versus VC. I think related, or actually it's three questions. First question, do you want to have an active investor or a passive investor? So do you want them really to advise you? How can they help? First of all, some of them have made many mistakes that you don't want to make again, so they can help you with operational decisions. Second, they may have network. Third, they may really take over tasks, like, I don't know, getting a funding process going, a roadshow, so you can focus on product. There are investors who can provide that, and you need to consider whether you want that or not, because you should clarify that before, otherwise the expectations might produce conflict.
The question is more, if I'm going to start a company today, is that the main strategic thing I should think about, or is it something I should think about down the line?
It really depends on your situation. So, sorry, we have to look at the case. Sometimes without funding, you basically cannot start. If you want to have a very simple app that just does one thing, and you are a developer and you have a designer and you can live with 500 euros per month because you live still with your mother, try to bring it as far as possible. If you want to build a big e-commerce startup, forget about it without funding, no chance. Sorry.
All right, we're unfortunately out of time. Is it okay if I make it cut here? I'm really sorry, it's really interesting, but we have one more speaker waiting, two more. Yeah? All right, then guys, please give it up for Frank and Mark. They deserve it. Thank you.